What's up, everybody? Good morning.
Morning.
It looks like we're in the middle of the forest, but really this is just the back alleys of San Pedro, where Marlene's from. But this is actually, there's a lot of these little like wooded paths through her neighborhood because she's up in the hills of San Pedro, like high roller.
You really?
No. Her parents are working class people. They just been here a long time. You were born here.
I was born, yeah.
Harbor City Hospital, right?
Yeah.
So we've been busy last couple of days, last 3 or 4 days actually. If you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and also here, the last video I just put up, or hopefully the last video if I don't put another one up before this, is the casita, a little promo for casita sale listing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went up for sale first, and then just yesterday we put up the 4-wheel camper too.
So Luca was very upset that we are selling the casita.
Yeah, cried.
Cried.
Ava too. Yeah. Ava cried too, but Luca has a harder time controlling his emotions. So he was like bawling versus Ava is just, you know, hey dogs. Ava just like single tear. Prison cry.
Anyways, he's upset. It's understandable. He's a little guy, so his memory doesn't span back too far. So he's like, the only home I've known.
He doesn't remember staying in the Airstream.
For sure. Because
he was only 2 when we got out of the Airstream.
Yeah.
He does remember the truck camper, I think.
I don't think he was as attached to it for some reason.
He was younger.
Yeah.
And he likes the casita because he gets to sleep next to you versus being up on another level next to the girls.
To hold hands.
Yeah. He's a mama's boy. So those are listed. Now, a lot of people have been wondering, a lot of you guys have been asking, what are we doing? What are we going to do? And we've actually talked about this a few times in a couple of our live streams and also in the comments in some of our posts. We are selling so that we can have the funds to buy another vehicle and build it out. And if all goes as planned, we like to ship it to Europe. So, if you didn't know that,
I think we've been scared to say it because we've kind of wanted to do that for 2 years, but we haven't. It didn't happen. So now that we're closer to making it happen, I don't know. I feel scared saying, "Hey, everybody, we're going to Europe."
Well, because you don't want to jinx it, right? I don't want to jinx it either.
So we just kind of slowly, or just like random hints here and there,
yeah,
or answer random questions. It's less, I guess, intimidating that way.
Well, honestly, there still can be things that go wrong that will prevent this from coming true, but such is life, you know? If this doesn't work out for whatever reason, then, you know, we'll have to plan accordingly. But until that insurmountable obstacle appears itself, we have to move along. Can't be scared. So there's a lot of changes that are happening, and I think a lot of it has been good. We had a good talk with the kids yesterday about all of it. Actually, for the last few days, we've been talking to them about all this. Do you guys really want to go to Europe? If you had a choice, stay here or go to Europe, what do you want to do? So, like, literally no pressure, whatever they want. Will they think it's fun? And I feel like they want to go to Europe. I think they honestly said that this is what they want to do.
And I think it really helped to... Are we supposed to say we already saw one of the ones? Is it going to ruin your video?
No.
So we took them the other day to see the Fords.
Good morning. How are you?
One of the vehicles we're considering is the Ford Transit 3500. So we took them there to see one of the cargos, and they actually got to see how big it is and feel the van out. And I think it became more real for them, something they can grasp onto. Okay, so this is going to be our new home. And then we watched some Europe videos, like, oh, we can see the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
They want to eat a pizza by Pisa. That's not a very original joke.
They want to eat ice cream in Croatia. It's all about eating.
It's all about eating.
Kind of how we started our traveling lives. It was about eating.
Yeah, I mean, they're kids, you know. A lot of people, like, ask their kids when they meet them in person, it's like, what's your favorite place? Like, we're always like, ugh, their answer is not going to be satisfactory to you.
The shrimp buffet in Vegas.
They're kids. You know, they like kids things. They like the place where they got to eat pizza and play arcade.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where it is. And
just live in the moment.
And a lot of people question this, and they say this about taking their younger kids traveling, which is when we started. Our kids were much younger.
Or didn't exist.
Or didn't exist. They were all less than a year old when we hit the road successively, you know, because we stopped for the pregnancies after Ava, but each time, you know, the kid was just a few months old before we left again. But people will always say things like, well, you know, they're not going to remember, so what's the point? You know, like, they'll never know that they were at this place and that place. They won't specifically remember places at this age. Ava will. Ava's old enough. And I think maybe Mila will too. But when they were younger, we have to jog their memory a lot. But it's really not about the specific memories that I want them to have. What I want them to have is the feeling. Remember the feeling of all these years of living on the road, traveling on the road. And that feeling is maybe something they can't verbally express when they're older, but that's what I want them to have. And maybe it's hard for me to verbally express what that feeling is that I want them to have, but, you know, I think many of you know what that feeling's like. Just like the feeling you have as a kid growing up with your siblings and your parents. You know, it's kind of difficult to put in words, but that's what we want them to have. And by having a big mishmash of adventure from everywhere, and I think we'll give them, you know, the feeling that we want them to have. So
yeah, and it shapes who they are, and they're going to be comfortable with meeting different people, different cultures. It's just going to be normal.
Right.
You know, we're all human, and that's what we're trying to show them.
And they're not unlike other kids, you know. They like video games, they like iPads, they want to watch TV shows, they want to do all that stuff. But when you tell them, do you want to live in a house and play video games every day and go to a normal school 8 hours a day? No, they scream and they turn around running. They don't want that.
They know they have it. They know, well, they see their friends, and their friends are always busy. Sorry, they're at school. Sorry, they have activities.
Yeah.
Can't play with them.
And I think it helps that Ava's really into it, because she's kind of the leader of that pack of three. So as long as she's into it, it gives Mila some comfort in picking that side. And once the girls are into it, Luca's into it.
This whole transition thing, Mila's like, yeah, sell the casita, sell the truck camper, I don't care, let's go to Europe. Like, she's like, so like...
She's the only one that's like, that sounds kind of cool. Whereas, yeah, Luca and Ava both are having a hard time letting go of the casita. Even though we've only had the casita for a little over a year.
Yeah.
It's basically the newest camper of the three that we own, right? Because we still have the Airstream. Right. And our justification for them is that, hey, we said to you guys that we'll keep the Airstream. We'll never sell the Airstream. And that was our deal, you know? But now they forgot living the Airstream, so they don't have as much sentimentality with the Airstream as they do now with the Casita. But Ava's very sentimental about everything.
And she's like, well, why don't we just rent out Airbnb the Casita, the truck camper, so we can keep it all and make money?
Right.
But then we had to explain to them that most people are not like us, and they're not okay with
pooping in front of their brother and
in a
sister,
portable cassette toilet.
Basically a bucket with a lid.
And showering at a rec center or outdoors, or just skipping it.
Yeah.
You know, Airbnb people wouldn't be very happy with that choice.
No, they get that, I think. You know, when you say it out loud, they're like, yeah, sure, makes sense. But that's their way of saying, hey, we can keep it. Here's how. We're doing it with the Airstream, so why can't we do it with that?
Yeah.
So
it's called glamping, people.
Yeah. But, you know, going back to the Airstream, it's doing well. We've had probably 7 or 8 guests, maybe 6 or 7 guests stay in the Airstream already. But it's starting to get warm in Cave Creek. So I think bookings will come far and fewer in between if we don't get, because we don't have 30 amp right now. We don't actually need 30 amp. I think we just need 20 amp, but I think you just get 30 amp.
Yeah.
If we don't get that hooked up, then we're not gonna have AC. And I think in reality, AC will only extend the season. I don't think you want to be there in the summer.
No.
Even with AC.
You'll die.
You're turning into a roast pig. So, yeah, so it's doing well. And it's true what people say, though. You don't want your RV to just sit there, not being used. An RV that's being used is going to be kept in much better shape than one that's just sitting around. You know, because water will get in, animals will move in, things will start to deteriorate because nobody's there, nobody's able to keep an eye on it, and nobody's able to make the necessary repairs to get it fixed up right, or at least, you know, to prevent the further deterioration from happening. So yeah, I think even though we didn't know at the beginning, oh my god, this is starting to become
you need to take your jacket off.
It is hot.
Hold that, take your jacket off?
It's not so hot, it's more just the incline that we have now. Okay, now when I do this jacket.
We're actually exercising, Dan.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna tie it around my waist.
Don't leave a comment that Dan's out of breath.
Woo.
Creeping you out.
Woo. Ha. Woo. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so we feel good where the Airstream's at. It's in Arizona, so they do get monsoons in the monsoon season, but
and haboobs.
And haboobs. If you don't know what a haboob is, go look it up. It's crazy. I think a haboob. I didn't see the movie, but I think the movie, The Mummy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, had some haboobs in it.
Yeah. Try to say haboob without smiling. I dare you.
Try to think about haboob without smiling. Yeah, so today, I think our plan today is to go check out the Sprinter. So like Marlene said, we checked out the Transit a couple of times already by ourselves. Once with the kids. Yeah, they got to go in and feel the space.
Yeah.
That was an important thing.
We actually said, kids, lay down. And the sales guy's like, Yeah,
a lot of salespeople look at us funny.
Very funny.
They look at us, especially when you go to the Mercedes dealership, dressing like we dress. And we're not like, okay, maybe you consider us outdoors people.
But we don't dress outdoorsy.
But we're not like, we're not really, you know, we don't mountain bike. We used to snowboard, but, you know, we don't snowboard anymore because, for the most part, because we don't want to get hurt and it's expensive. We hike, but you see me huffing and puffing already. 15 minutes into this walk.
We hike with flip-flops on.
Yeah, we're wearing flip-flops. Oh, flip-flops. Flip-flop hikers. So, I guess we were more outdoorsy than your usual Mercedes clientele, maybe. Yeah. I don't even want to say that necessarily. You know, because Mercedes has some pretty cool, like the G-Class wagons and.
But when you walk in a car dealership, there's like a swarm or somebody on you right away.
Yeah.
We walked into the Mercedes, everybody's
like crickets. Everybody's running away. One guy,
it's like, really?
We're walking into the door. One guy walks like, you know, perpendicular to us. Obviously, you know, he works there. You can just tell him looking at us as we're walking, and he wasn't gonna stop. He just kind of turned and looked at us. And as he's walking, he's like, "Do you guys need any help?" And just kept going. So, we're not your typical Mercedes clientele, I guess. Ford, on the other hand, much friendlier folks. But I actually really like the Ford Transits. I just put up a kind of a poll, I guess, on my personal Instagram, showing a Transit. So the one we're looking at is the Ford Transit T350 long wheelbase extended length EcoBoost. Yeah, I don't know, I can go with any of the engines actually. I can see the reason why there are three. The original V6 is the 3.7 non-turbo boosted, that has the least power, and then the 3.5 liter V6 is twin turbo, that has the most power. And then they have a 3.2 diesel 5-cylinder that has that's right in the middle with torque. I think it has the lowest horsepower, but it has all the torque in the low range. So I can see the advantage of all three. Yeah. Where are those puppies? There they are. They look like Bella. Yeah. Our friend's dog.
Like Shepherd Samoyed mix, maybe?
Maybe.
Or something.
So yeah, the diesel has the best gas mileage, which is, I don't know if we mentioned this, which is the main reason why we want to switch. Because gas in Europe is double.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If not more in certain countries than here. So on a good day, we get like 12 miles to the gallon. And we're hoping to maybe increase it by 4 or 5. We can do that with the diesel.
The diesel gets like 20 on a good day.
Once broken in and,
yeah,
you know, on a good highway day.
We took our truck to Mexico, and Mexico has higher gas prices in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
But we were only there.
But the exchange rate was good, so I think it got sort of comparable.
And we were there for a shorter period. We go to Europe, or when we go to Europe,
right? Then
if we're shipping over, we'll be there for longer than our 6-month or 9 months did in Mexico last year, or 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if you do the calculations, if we can get 50% better mileage and gas being double, like it adds up quick. Like we're talking about maybe like, I don't know, $5,000. Somebody lost their leash.
I'll hopefully come back for it.
Still incline. I'm still climbing. It adds up to about 5,000 or higher, depending on how many miles we drive. So, and it makes sense. It's probably harder to get it serviced when we're there, you know, because I don't think they have Ford F-250s. Although I think it'll be really cool, you know, to have like an ultra American style vehicle there. I'm not like some folks who are like, oh no, you don't want to let people know where you're from, but it is where we're from. So it would be cool, I think, to go there with a very like American car. because we're there to learn their culture, and maybe they'll learn a little bit of culture from us.
Like, who's that douchebag that brought their F-250?
Yeah, the gas guzzler.
Damn Americans.
You're gonna kill the whales, man. But I don't think, practically speaking, it makes too much sense. It'll be like a four-wheel drive van. It's super cool here, and obviously, as you guys know, it's gaining tons of popularity. And we started out with a van, you know, so, and I've always wanted to convert that van to four-wheel drive. I just never got around to it. In fact, we started out with a diesel van, and the kids still talk about it. Every time we see a van like our old van, they still talk about it. And especially because it was a GMC Savannah and a cargo converted with windows and seats. Basically what we're doing now, but not a GMC. It's either going to be a Ford or a Mercedes. But I think they have some primer problems. You know, the white vans that were fleet vehicles. So the paint started to chip in various places. And when it started to happen, I started looking around at all the other GMC Savannahs or Chevy Express vans, and they all have the same chipping problem. So we've now affectionately called those vans Chippy vans.
The kids scream, Chippy!
Yeah, every time they see a van driving by with like primer showing underneath chipped paint, they say Chippy van!
But it also reminds us of our old towing setup. So
yeah.
it brings good memories.
It does. It does. And
I think we're done with the uphill.
finally, now we can go downhill. Maybe it won't be as windy.
We should have brought our winter coats.
Well, it was kind of cold
for spring
when we
in
left.
LA.
Whew.
You want to take a break?
All right, we're gonna take a break. And okay, we'll be back in a second. Okay, and we're back. By the way, what do you think about this sort of walk and talk format video that we're doing? I know it's kind of longer than usual, and maybe it's too long, but if that's the case, let us know. We can do this, I don't know, once a week, once every other
we should
week.
Probably exercise more, so it's a good
Yeah.
excuse. Vlog and exercise.
Yeah, so this is like a uber extended vlog.
Especially now we're at my parents' house and we're babysitting.
Yeah, well,
Nice
I mean,
time alone too. And
it's
we usually
true.
don't have.
but we could, and we have done this walk with the kids.
Yeah.
So, the Sprinter van is actually the first one we went to go see, and just because it was close, and also because we went to the Ford dealership, and it was all about closing time, so nobody was there. So we didn't actually get to see a transit van the first time we went to go check it out. And we did see a Sprinter, and it just so happens to be a four-wheel drive crew 170 inch wheelbase, which is exactly
in the color I prefer.
color that
it was just like
right.
unicorn at a lot that's closest to my parents' house that we weren't expecting. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what do we do? It's right there.
Yeah, because before we went on the website and looked at the color options and stuff like that. She's like, well, that's a cool color. But yeah, if you follow my personal Instagram, you'll see that picture of Marlene checking out the van, looking down, not at her eyes. So the nice thing about the crew van is, and this is the only crew van that we've seen, four-wheel drive or not, that that's available within maybe a 50-mile radius. Of course, we drive further, but
We like to drive?
we drive a little. But now we're selling the truck. We're trying to not put miles on it. We want to let the next owner have the best possible truck and camper setup with the minimal amount of miles. So it just sits there now, hopefully. I don't know. We may have to drive to some places. But the crew, what's nice about that is it has a second row of seats from the factory. So we don't have to put new seats in. Also, it has windows next to those seats. So on the sliding door has a big window. On the opposite driver's side of that sliding door also has a big window. They don't open though, so that's kind of a bummer. But at least the kids can look outside, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So it'll be really boring for them.
Just to be in a box.
Yeah, it's like we're transporting prisoners.
Enter the
Strap
moving
down.
box.
And there's windows in the back too, which I think will be nice.
Yeah.
So when it's closed, the way that we're thinking about the layout is bunk beds. Not unlike the four-wheel camper setup that we have, which has a like sliding adjustable size bed on the top.
Yeah.
It slides out to be bigger.
The camper setup is nice, so we're gonna try to.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do that.
I just love that four-wheel camper. It's a little bit like, oh, maybe we should just ship our current setup.
It's still not sold. It's still not sold.
But
we can still do it.
We'll see.
Yeah, but we have to sell the casita. That one is for sure, because we can't bring that. Which is sad. I love that casita too. I put a lot of effort into setting it up just right for off-grid boondocking, take it to Mexico,
yeah,
stuff like that. And we've talked before, if you look up at the, I'll put a link to that video right here. I've talked before about modern diesels and taking it to Mexico, which still, as of today, is true. You're not going to be able to bring a post-DEF diesel vehicle into Mexico further than 500 miles from the northern border because they don't have ultra low sulfur diesel. For us, it's less of an issue now because we don't foresee ourselves going back to Mexico with this in our future for probably at least a year, maybe two. Yeah. And from what we heard, Mexico is supposed to have ultra low sulfur diesel all across the country by December of 2018. But yeah, don't hold me to that. They've said stuff like this before that hasn't happened. Yeah. But I imagine every time they say this, the likelihood of that happening increases. So maybe it won't be a factor to have a diesel. And I don't know, maintenance is an issue. A lot of people brought up. In my post on Instagram where I showed the two vehicles, I asked people which one. I feel like it was overwhelmingly Mercedes. But what really caught my eye though is that the handful of people that said Ford Transit actually own one themselves. And there's a few people that say Mercedes that own theirs too, that own one too. So, you know, I'm not saying that the people that said Mercedes don't own them, but I want to say just on like a percentage basis, almost everybody who owns a Transit liked it. And there's some other issues like the Transit doesn't have as good of departure angle, the model that we want to get, which has got the really long butt, because it's 148-inch wheelbase versus 170-inch wheelbase. So being like 22 inches shorter in wheelbase in the same length almost van, you're gonna hang over a lot more.
A lot more scraping.
A lot more dragging your butt on the dirt or curbs or streets or ramps or something. So that would not be good. Also,
I made a spreadsheet. I will
Marlene
show
has a
everybody
spreadsheet.
later.
You're supposed to bring that spreadsheet when we talk about this.
I have it. I can't hold it up while we're walking and breathing.
Right. You brought your spreadsheet. Good. When she says spreadsheet, she means like hand-drawn on a piece of paper. She doesn't mean Excel or Google Sheets.
Old school, Dad.
She's old school. That's why I like her. So, other reasons. Maintenance. Maintenance on the Ford is significantly cheaper. It's not to say that maintenance on the Mercedes is necessarily a lot. We talked to the dealership. They're like, well, the first scheduled service is 22,000 miles or 1 year, whichever comes first. And it's about $500, which seems like a lot. And it is a lot. because it's a Mercedes, I
But
assume.
it's like a diesel oil change. If you
The diesel oil change is
anywhere
a lot.
for a diesel oil change,
Yeah.
not.
When we had the diesel truck,
Yeah.
it took some ridiculous amount of oil, like, I forget, like 2.5 gallons of oil or something. And it had to be like diesel oil, 5W30 or something.
So I
Keep
feel
getting
like
stuck in your shoes.
$500 for an oil change and quick checkup for Mercedes isn't that bad.
Yeah,
It's once stuff starts breaking.
right.
Start Googling Amazon. Is there a cheap Mercedes parts? I can do this myself, please.
Yeah, people do have that resource. So that's definitely a consideration. I feel like the Fords that I've owned, I've just done oil changes and they've been awesome. Between the two Fords, the two F-250s, I think we sold our blue one after Alaska with like 35,000 miles on it. And then this one has just under 57,000 miles. So, you know, I'm well into 90,000 miles between both trucks worth of Ford Super Duty experience, and I like them. I really do. And I don't know, maybe a F-250 diesel. You can sell this and go back. Probably not gonna happen. It does make more sense for the van, and I think what'll happen when we come back too is, you know, we'll ship it there and ship it back, and then we'll just be in that. And hopefully this vehicle that we buy will keep for as long as we can imagine.
No promises.
That's true.
We're gonna travel in the airship forever.
I don't want to eat my words. Yeah, so another question people have asked is, well, why not just buy there? Well, it's a valid question, and we've thought about that a lot too. We could just buy a van or a RV or whatever there. And I think for a lot of people that is a feasible option, but it's difficult for us because not very many small RVs are designed for 5 people. And we're bringing our cat. That's right. So I forgot to mention that. We're bringing Yoda too. So, you know,
find one there while staying in hotels or Airbnbs with a cat, and could be, I don't know. It's just easier
yeah,
if we
it could be
get
expensive.
there and we're already set up and let's go.
Right.
No wasting time.
So we don't waste any time having to customize or build out a van when we get there, and we don't waste any money paying for hotels and Airbnbs while we sit around and wait for this build to happen. So,
and I think the biggest thing is too selling it before we can't ship European RV to the US.
yeah,
So we have to wait around and sell this thing, and who knows how long it'll take if we customize it for 5 people.
and if we want it to sell fast, we have to sell it cheap. And if we sell it cheap, then we'll lose money. Then I think we'll end up being pretty close to a wash if we lose a lot of money on buying and selling this vehicle. And of course, again, if you want to buy it for the right price, you got to spend more time looking. But you spend more time looking, then you spend more time in hotels and Airbnbs.
And you got to deal with people not speaking English in the majority of the countries we're going to visit.
Yeah, and this
Trying
is
to get through old DMV in a foreign language. Oh my gosh.
the reality is that people do it,
Yeah.
right? So we know that our friend Luis, who we've never met, but we still consider him a friend, they bought a Sprinter, like a short wheelbase Sprinter high roof there, and they keep it, I think, somewhere in like Greece or Turkey or Portugal or something.
My friend Andrew and Momo just bought
Yeah,
something which he sort of regrets because it's breaking on him, and he's pouring in money, which kind of scares us too.
yeah. Buying a used one potentially means that more problems can happen. But those are maybe some adventures that some folks are looking for. Not us. We're not looking for those kinds of adventures.
We'd rather drive and find a good pizza and beer place than go underneath the car and fix it.
Yeah, we're trying to minimize the breakdowns.
Especially with 3 kids.
Especially with 3 kids, that's for sure. So that's our rationale behind not buying, and buying here and shipping, because we can control the variables a lot easier. And also we'll have maybe a better opportunity, you know, to buy a vehicle that we know we want. And what happens if we do ship and then we come back and we have no vehicle here? Then we gotta buy again. We gotta buy something again. You know, because we're gonna sell the truck camper. We're not gonna leave it here rotting, like I mentioned earlier in this video. RVs, campers don't do well when they just sit around and do nothing. I think that was a pretty good explanation of our
plan,
thought process, our plan.
Brain dump.
And this could have been a live stream, I guess, but yeah. I think this way it would kind of stay more focused in trying to get to all the points that we want to talk about. Right. And if, you know, maybe we'll do a live stream again later if you guys have other questions. And if you have questions about everything that we've said, leave them in the comments below. Oh yeah, I was gonna change up my strategy a little bit for ending the video.
Yeah.
Right?
What was that?
I was gonna use reverse psychology on them. Oh no, no, I was gonna do I was gonna tell people who aren't subscribed. No, if you are subscribed, please don't unsubscribe.
Is this begging?
This is borderline begging.
Different begging.
Okay,
Instead of
please. I'm not asking you to subscribe if you're not subscribing. Just don't hit that thumbs down if you're not subscribed. If you are subscribed, please don't unsubscribe. Stay subscribed. All right. Thank you guys for watching.